Hi everybody, it's Geordie from Geordie's Cards here for Pour Some Stamps today, and I'm so excited to be bringing you this fun scene card. I love making a scene card. I especially love an underwater scene, so this one was right up my street. This is the new stamp set from Pour Some Stamps. It's called Sea Life. I adore it. I think it's just gorgeous. And I'm pulling out an old favorite of mine, the Rays of Sunshine background stencil, also from Pour Some Stamps. So I have gone ahead and coloured and cut out all of my images. I used my Zig Clean Colour Real Brush markers today for something a little bit different, and I just had a ball colouring all these images in. I went crazy with my colours. Of course, I created a yellow submarine because why not? Here are all the little critters. I have pretty much stamped out everything from this stamp set. There are 2 seahorses facing in different directions. I've only stamped one, so that's the only thing I didn't stamp out and colour in. Everything else I have stamped out, and some multiple times. So to create my scene, I've used a stitched Slimline card die, and I've cut that from some Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm using some low tack tape here just to mask off those stitched edges. This is something that I like to do on my cards. A, it helps me hold the card to the make art station that I'm using, and B, I just like the look of that that kind of white border around the edge. Now, my inking didn't go exactly to plan today, and you will see here, I'll show you later, but pretty much worked pretty well. So I'm using some Catherine Paula inks today. I have All That Jazz and Suede Shoes, and I'm just going in with All That Jazz all over this panel to begin with. So you can see there that my tape lifted a little bit as I was inking on it, and so I got a little bit of blue on outside that stitching detail, but I think it's okay. I don't think it's too bad. Yeah, I'm just kind of smearing this on all over this background piece. Now, it looks a bit of a mess. I'm the first to admit that. But the thing I've found with these Catherine Pooler inks is that you need to give them time to kind of set and do their thing, because once they dry back, they smooth out and look amazing. So yeah, just trust the process with this one. So there we go. I've created my kind of base layer, and now I'm pulling out this Rays of Sunshine background stencil. It is perfect for a slimline card because it fits all the way across. It's amazing. And I've just popped that in place and held it down with my magnets, and now I'm going in with this Suede Shoes ink, which is this dark blue color. And pretty heavy-handed, I'm going right on over top of that ink that I've already laid down and adding this darker color through the stencil to create these rays. Now, obviously, I want this to look like, you know, that kind of lighter and darker rays of light you get going through the water. And it's so much fun. I really, really enjoyed this process today. I had such a blast making this card. I feel like I haven't made a scene card, like a proper scene card, for a long time. And when I saw these stamps, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to town with these. So these stamps come from the latest release. It's a mini release for summer. It's awesome. There are some gorgeous stamps in there. I urge you to go and check out Pour Some Stamps website. Go and take a look at all the amazing projects that the design team have created. It's so much fun, and I just love this stamp set. I can't wait to play with it again. So there is my background piece done. I'm lifting off that stencil. Doesn't it look awesome? And now I'm going to take some water and spritz it all over this background to get that lovely oxidized reaction. And I'm really going to town with this water because I want lots and lots of splatters all over the background. Now, because I'm using so many images, a lot of my background is going to be covered up, but I always like to make a bit of an effort with my background because it's a lot of fun to do anyway. So splattering away merrily here, going crazy with the splatters. Then I will bring in a piece of paper towel and I will blot those water patches up here. And you can see the amazing effect. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. I also love the kind of pattern that it's left on my paper towel. I think that's really cool too. Right, so I'm peeling up the masking tape, and you will see that there are a few places where I've gone a little bit wrong. Number one, on that kind of left-hand side, my tape went too far into the edge, and then I had a smear of blue at the top. But we're not going to worry about that. We're going to live with it. So I have a second piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock, which I cut using that same stitched slimline die, but then I just kind of freehand cut the top of it to create this kind of sandy bank look. So again, I'm masking off those edges. Going to try and be a bit more careful this time, and I'm doing some ink blending with Distress Oxides this time. So I have Antique Linen and Vintage Photo. So I'm going in with an initial layer of Antique Linen all over the bottom of this, just blending all over to get that kind of sandy looking colour. Next, I'll come in with the Vintage Photo, and I'm going to concentrate this towards the top. Now, I probably should have had a smaller blending brush to do this because it kind of went everywhere, but I go back in with the with the Antique Linen and smooth it out a little bit more, and I think it works out pretty well. And obviously, I need to hold down my mat while I'm doing that. Once that is done, again, I took the water and spritzed it all over and splattered merrily away to create some oxidized drops on here. And once I'd picked that up with my paper towel, I went back in with the Vintage Photo and smeared a little bit of that on my mat and watered it down and splattered that all over as well to give that nice sandy texture. Once that was done, I set these two pieces off to dry for a bit, and then I came back to finish up my card. So yeah, here's that sandy piece, and here are the two pieces all completed and nicely dried. So before I do anything else, I'm going to go in and stamp down my sentiments. So this stamp set has some amazing sentiments. I love them. I'm using this one which says it's officially your birthday, and I absolutely adore the font that this is in. I just think it's gorgeous. Once that was done, I did go ahead and stick my sandy panel down to my backdrop. I've just used liquid glue for this. I'm not adding any dimension on this one. I'm keeping it all flat because there's so much going on already. So all I'm doing is laying out all of my little pieces. I did leave the glue off the very top of that sandbank so I could tuck some of my plants and things into that sandbank. So some look like they are behind and some look like they're more in the foreground. And now I'm just kind of laying everything out, figuring out where they're going to go, and then I can start gluing everything down. And I went crazy with my colouring today. I went crazy with my splatters, crazy with everything really. The colours, I have never used the neon colours in my it's a clean colour real brush markers. So I decided to use them today because I thought they looked a lot of fun. And often you get, really bright corals and plant life under the sea. So I thought, well, why not? So I've used the fluorescent orange, the fluorescent green, and the fluorescent pink. And I must say that the orange does look a bit fluoro, but the other two are quite sedate actually. Once you kind of blend them out with the blender brush, you don't really get a huge amount of neon. So I've used it on that pink coral there and on that green seaweed, but I don't think they look overly fluoro really. But it was lots of fun to play around with all the colours today. I mean, I've literally gone crazy with all the colours of the rainbow. So I'm starting out with my biggest images and I'm gluing them down first just to make sure that I get the placement of those right before I start gluing everything else down. So I started with that submarine, and how cute is that submarine? Let's talk about that submarine for a minute because I love it. And of course it's a yellow submarine. The ray is also one of my favourite images in this set. I think he's gorgeous, but you can't go past that anglerfish either. In fact, just everything in this set is just so much fun. I love them all. And like I say, I haven't made a scene card for ages, and I feel like now I just want to make all the scene cards for everything. So beware, there may be more scene cards coming your way. But I just had a lot of fun creating this today. It's a bit crazy. It's a bit full on. There's lots going on. But it's just so fun. And it really makes me smile every time I look at this. I think it's so cool. I love that sentiment. I love all the sentiments in this set. But that sentiment just really cracks me up. I love the font that it's in. I love the size of it. I think it's brilliant. Do go and check out Pour Some Stamps website. They have such fun things going on at the moment. There was a mini release back last month for May. There's this mini release that's been out for June. They've got so many cool things going on at the moment, so go and check them out. And then, yeah, once I've finished gluing everything down here, all that I need to do is attach my card panel to a card base, and I'm calling this one done. It was so much fun to put together. I really enjoyed it today. And it's always great to pull out my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I really do need to start using those more often. I tend to just go for my Copics, and in fact today I stamped these out thinking that I was going to use Copics, and then I decided that I wanted to use my Zigs, so I went back and re-stamped them again so that I could use my Zigs, because I have to use Zigs on Bristol Smooth cardstock. If you've never used Zigs before, Bristol Smooth cardstock is the difference for these guys, because they don't work very well on normal cardstock or even like any kind of other cardstock. The only cardstock I've really found them to work on is Bristol Smooth cardstock, and what a difference it makes. They just blend beautifully on that cardstock. So if you're thinking of using Zigs, get some Bristol Smooth cardstock. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one today. If you did, please do subscribe to our Pawsome Stamps channel. Here are a couple of other videos that you might enjoy, and thank you so much for joining me today. Take care.